What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and this one is my team selection for Game Week 4. So I'm going to take you through how the team is looking. I've got a couple of yellow flags, what my plans are for those players, and also a quick look at chip strategy and why I might bench boost in Game Week 5, and also why I might take a hit this week for a defender. And I'll quickly show you how I did in Game Week 3. So let's get into it. So let's start with Game Week 3, which I know was a little while ago, but I had a good week. So let me relive it just one more time before the inevitable misery starts again in Game Week 4. I scored 64 points. That took me to the lofty heights of 4.3 million, which of course is not where I want to end the season. But we're so early on, I'm not really worried about it right now. And ultimately, the first 2 weeks were so bad, I needed some hope. And that is what Game Week 3 delivered. Where did the points come from? Bruno Fernandes, my highlight of the game week. 10-pointer, doubled to 20 because I had him captain. Last-minute penalty. It doesn't get much better than that, especially when everyone's so frustrated that he scored a penalty. Rivaling him for highlight of the game week is Dewsbury Hall. 12-pointer, goal and assist against Wolves, 5 million, excellent value. And the nice thing about him in my squad now is he's my 8th attacker because I sold Palmer and Guiu last week for Sarr and Mateta, who both delivered against Aston Villa. Not every week do I now have to play Dewsbury Hall, depending on injuries and fixtures and stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy to have him in the squad. It looked crazy after Game Week 1 when everyone had Reinders, but he's done okay since. So Dewsbury Hall, happy with him. Sarr and Mateta did deliver against Villa, like I said. Mateta scored the penalty. We know he's first choice now with Eze not there. Sarr scored his customary goal against Villa but got injured, so I'll talk about what to do with him later. We still don't know how long he's out for, but I'm expecting him to miss kind of 2 to 3 game weeks. Elsewhere, Watkins blanked again, Wirtz blanked again, hugely frustrating. Salah got nothing against Arsenal, but I wasn't really expecting massive things. I wouldn't have minded captaining him this week, but I was always happy to go against him. And then defensively, Nico Williams 1-pointer, Agbadou 1-pointer. Pedro Porro got some late defensive contributions added, so finished on 4 points. And goalkeeper Sanchez, 6 points. I think last season or the season before, I got like 1 clean sheet in the first 9 or 10 game weeks. It was so bad. This year I've got 3 out of 3. Now I have been helped out by VAR because Eze's goal in the first game against Chelsea was ruled out, that free kick. The Josh King goal for Fulham should have really stood. I don't think that should have been ruled out. So I've got a little bit lucky that Sanchez game week 1, Dubravka game week 2, now Sanchez game week 3. It hasn't helped me get to a high rank. I've only got 153 points total, but it is nice to get those goalkeeper clean sheets. So a really good week. Hopefully that continues into Game Week 4, but I do have a few issues, so let's talk about them. So 1 free transfer this week, 0.9 million in the bank. Defensively, things look okay for my team, at least for 3 out of 4 of my picks. So Sanchez in goal against Brentford away, Dubravka on the bench against Liverpool at home. Not likely to make a goalkeeper transfer anytime soon, so that's an easy decision. Joachim Andersen Leeds at home. On paper, that looks great. Leeds struggling to score at the moment. Fulham defence is pretty good. And Joachim Andersen not bad for defensive contributions. So more than happy with him. And he's got Brentford at home in Game Week 5. Pedro Porro against West Ham away. If we'd spoken about this after Game Week 2, it wouldn't look great. Porro on set pieces. West Ham struggling to score. All of a sudden, West Ham score 3 against Forest. And Xavi Simons comes in and might take over set-piece duty from Porro. So it doesn't look quite so good. But ultimately, I've got bigger issues to deal with this week. So I'm more than happy to keep him. And I'll just worry about him down the line when we've seen a few Spurs games with all the new signings, etc. My third defensive pick is a problem. Nico Williams against Arsenal away, Agbadou against Newcastle away, and Esteve against Liverpool at home. Not ideal. Arsenal, Newcastle, or Liverpool, none of them are keeping a clean sheet. If my attack was fully fit this week, I'd probably be doing Nico Williams to Munoz. Because he's got Sunderland at home, much better fixture. Then in Game Week 5, when Nico Williams would have Burnley away, Munoz has still got West Ham away, and I'm quite likely to free hit in Game Week 6. So when Forest play Sunderland at home, I can bring Nico Williams back or go for a different defender, depending on what I see from Ange Postecoglou over the next couple of weeks. So that is the move that I would like to do, Nico Williams to Munoz, or potentially Lacroix to save a bit of money. But I don't think my attack is going to be fine. I've got a couple of injuries. And so if I've got to deal with that, all of a sudden Nico Williams to Munoz would then require a hit. Now, I don't like taking hits in general unless I absolutely need to. And I certainly don't like taking them for defenders. But this week I might do it. Just because of how bad the fixtures are. Like Nico Williams against Arsenal away, what am I really expecting? Unlikely to get an attack and return, unlikely to keep a clean sheet. And I can say that for both Esteve and Agbadou as well. So usually I wouldn't take a hit. This week I might talk myself into it. And because of free hit in game week 6, doing that Nico Williams to Munoz switch works quite nicely. I do have 0.9 in the bank, so I could do like Agbadou to Lacroix instead of selling Nico Williams, but I don't think that makes sense for my strategy. Because after game week 6, I think Forest players are worth selling. So if I can just do it now before Arsenal and then free hit them back in game week 6 for Sunderland, all I'm missing is Burnley away, and I think that's okay. And also it keeps more money out of my defence. So if I go for Nico Williams to Munoz or Lacroix, that leaves a bit more money in the bank than if I do Agbadou and try and get him to Munoz, for example, because like I said, I might be taking a hit this week. And also, as much as I don't trust Wolves' defence, they have got some nice fixtures coming up, like it's Leeds at home in game week 5 for the bench boost. So I might just roll with this defence, even though it doesn't look great, but I'm also tempted to take a hit. But it depends on what goes on with my attack. If the attack, the flags come off, then I'll definitely make the defender move. I just don't think that's going to happen. So let's talk about the issues I've got in my front line. So let's start with the straightforward decisions in midfield first of all. So Mo Salah going absolutely nowhere. He'll definitely be my captain against Burnley away. If you own him, I can't see a good reason not to stick the captain's armband on him. Florian Wirtz, super frustrating first 3 game weeks. No goals, no assists. But again, it's Burnley away. I think you've got to have a really, really good reason to sell a player before a fixture like that. Like if you're on wildcard, fair enough. If I was wildcarding this week, I probably wouldn't include him. But to use a free transfer to get rid of him before Burnley, I just can't see the point in doing that. Even if I had no other issues in my team, I'd much rather just roll the transfer. So we can talk about how I shouldn't have started with him. He wasn't a good pick for the first 3 weeks. That's fine, but that's all in the past now. We're only managing going forward. He's got Burnley away. He definitely stays. Bruno Fernandes, lovely penalty like I already spoke about in game week 3. City away this week, Chelsea at home in game week 5. Not ideal, but I do have bigger problems this week to sort out. I'm not going to sell Bruno Fernandes, who I know will start. May get some minutes in the number 10 position. If not, he's still attacking from that central midfield role. He's good for defensive contributions. He's on penalties, etc. He's going nowhere, realistically. And if I have to hold him through next week, it's not a problem because it's Brentford away in 6 and then Sunderland at home in 7. Dewsbury Hall, currently in the 11 because of the yellow flags I've got to Sarr and Strand Larsen. But I also don't mind playing him this week against Villa at home. Villa have struggled so far. And again, they will probably turn that around some point soon. But it's not a bad fixture for Everton. And I do think that they have added some really nice attackers to that team. Like Grealish, Dewsbury Hall and Njai behind the forward just looks pretty nice. I think they're going to score plenty of goals, especially at that new stadium. So I am more than happy to play him this week. And even if I have to bench boost with him next week against Liverpool away, I'm okay with that just to get the bench boost used. Sarr is injured. We actually don't know yet whether he's going to be out for game week 4, but it seems very, very likely that he will be. Like, I'm basically expecting him to miss 2 to 3 game weeks minimum. It might even be the case that we don't see him until after the next international break. I'll obviously discuss this again tomorrow once we've had the Glasner press conference, but that's how I'm thinking about it at the moment. With that 0.9 million, I do have the money to go straight to Semenyo, and it is tempting. If I had no other need for the money over the next few weeks, I might talk myself into doing that. It just seems like the most straightforward move. Like, it's almost too simple. And I do think sometimes the hype around players gets too much and they're not actually that good. But I just think Semenyo is a really good pick. If he hadn't had Liverpool away in game week 1, where I know he did really well, but still on paper it wasn't great, I may have just started with him because the fixtures coming up are just so good. Like from now until game week 9, next 6 game weeks, 4 of the fixtures are at home. Forest, Fulham, Newcastle, Brighton, and then Leeds away, Palace at home with the other 2. Like even after that, right, let's say that you get stuck with Semenyo, which is not really a problem because he's just a good pick. City away in 10, not great. Then Villa away, West Ham at home, Sunderland away, Everton at home. The fixtures are just so good for so long. So I might just straight swap him. I don't think Sarr is going to drop in price tonight. I don't think Semenyo is going to go up. So luckily I can wait until the press conferences. But that's what I'm thinking, right? If not, I'm going to go cheap. I don't think I'm going to stick around that 6.5 price. I don't see me buying like a Kudus or a Grealish. Because if I go for Grealish, I've got 2 Everton attackers with Liverpool away next week. And Grealish also can't play in game week 8 against City away because he's on loan. So I think I might go cheap like Reinders or Paquetá. So if Glasner comes out and says, okay, Sarr's going to miss Sunderland, but he could be back for West Ham in game week 5, then I probably won't sell him. But if he's going to be out 2-3 game weeks, he's definitely going to go. It's just whether I do it this week or next week, which I'll come on to in a bit. But I probably will just sell him this week And I think Paquetá, for like consistency of starts, minutes, penalties, I really like. But I do think that maybe I should just get Reinders. Like, I do think if he's going to continue to start, then he is just really good value. And I've gotten away with not owning him the last 2 weeks. I say gotten away with him, right? He's not a Kevin De Bruyne, right? Let's be realistic. Reinders is a good player that's going to put out like 0.2, 0.3 expected goal involvement this season, which is fine for less than 6 million. But I think the way he was talked about after game week 1 is like he's De Bruyne. He's nowhere near that kind of level of output, but he is still really good value. And having that extra money in the bank could prove useful later on when I want to buy Arsenal players in game week 7, for example. So Sarr, I think, will have to go this week, depending on what Glasner says tomorrow. And it's either Semenyo, and I just spend all the money in the bank, or I go cheap. Paquetá or Reinders are probably the top 2 at the moment. And then up front, it's Ollie Watkins against Everton away, Jean-Philippe Mateta against Sunderland at home, and on the bench, it's Strand Larsen, currently yellow flagged against Newcastle away. And that does seem like a legit injury. I think when Vitor Pereira mentioned that he had an injury for game week 3 and couldn't play against Everton, some of us thought that maybe it was because of the transfer speculation linking him to Newcastle, but he did pull out of the Norway squad during the international break. So there does seem to be an issue there. That is why I think I'm probably going to have to sell Sarr this week. If Strand Larsen was fully fit, I could just play 3-4-3, bench Sarr until game week 5 and just transfer him out then and make a defender move instead. And that's something that I will consider. But it needs Strand Larsen to be past fully fit. And I don't know if Vitor Pereira is going to say that. And I don't want to take any risks with him. But the reason that I'm keen on not selling him either is because if he can be fit for game week 5 onwards, that really helps potential bench boost. And the fixtures are just good. Leeds at home in 5, then it's Spurs away, Brighton at home, Sunderland away, Burnley at home. And I'm probably intending to wildcard as it stands in game week 13. In which case, I want to keep Strand Larsen at his price for this fixture run that he's got. He has dropped to 6.4 million, which is frustrating, but that price drop's already happened. There's nothing I can do about it now. And ultimately, for his price and below, I don't think there's many other better forwards. They have signed a new forward, but that is a backup option. Strand Larsen's going to start. I've got no real worries about that whatsoever. So even if he's a doubt for this week, if he's going to be back for game week 5 onwards, I'm going to keep him. And with 0.9 million in the bank, I don't really have too many places I can go to with him right now. It'd be like 7.3 million to spend. There's not really a forward that I would want at that price. Maybe Evan Nielsen, potentially. But I want to give Strand Larsen a chance to be fit for my squad for game week 5, which is why Sarr will probably have to go. You could argue that I've got enough issues to wildcard. I'm not completely against doing it this week. And if we get to the press conferences tomorrow and Strand Larsen's still a doubt, Sarr is definitely out, and I've got another issue in my team, I might just pop the wild card. I know it's always best to do it at the start of the week, so I should have done it at the start of the international break. But if I need it, I need it. So I'm not against doing it, but I don't think I've got enough issues right now to warrant activating it. Like, I can sell Sarr, I can maybe take a hit for my defence, and the rest looks fine. Like, Wirtz, is he a problem long term? Maybe, but he's not a problem this week. Is Watkins a problem long term? Potentially, but we're talking quite long. Because after this week, it's Sunderland in game week 5, Burnley in game week 7. So I'm not really in a mad rush to sell him, and I'm fine with Mateta in my squad as well. So I think as it stands, when I kind of wrote it down, my intended chip strategy, hopefully, is bench boost game week 5, which with how my squad looks right now, I don't know if it's going to be doable, but hopefully, and then free hit game week 6. If Sarr is out and Strand Larsen's fit, then I'm going to do the Nico Williams to Munoz or Lacroix move, or Sarr to Semenyo, Paquetá, Reinders, potentially Ruta. If Strand Larsen's out and Sarr is fit, which I don't think is very likely, but let's say it does happen, then I'll just make the defender move. Because I'm more than happy to play Dewsbury Hall. I can play 3-5-2, happy days, job done, and then hope Strand Larsen's back for game week 5. If Sarr and Strand Larsen are out, and Larsen's back for game week 5, like I mentioned, then I could do the double move. So Sarr to Semenyo or Paquetá, Reinders, Ruta for a -4 and do the Nico Williams to Munoz or Lacroix. Interestingly, by the way, I think, let me just double check this. If I was to take a hit and do, let's just say Paquetá, because I quite like him as an option. So Sarr to Paquetá will give me 1.5 in the bank. I could do Nico Williams to a 6.5 defender. So something like Van Dijk instead of Munoz. Now, I definitely prefer Munoz this week. But actually, Everton at home in game week 5 is good for Van Dijk. And free hit him probably in game week 6. 7 against Chelsea away, not great. But the fixtures after that are pretty good. Man United at home, I wouldn't mind playing Van Dijk in that. Brentford away, Villa at home. You know, it's a Forest at home in 12. And long term, I'm going to want him anyway. Now, I probably wildcard, so I could always pick him up later. But he is an alternative if I take a hit for Paquetá, because there'd be more money in the bank. I guess looking at these moves, I can afford right now to do Sarr to Semenyo and Nico Williams to Lacroix. That is quite tempting, just to take that hit and just set my team up for the next few weeks. So I might consider that as well. But that's roughly where I'm at. Unfortunately, it's one of those weeks where I really need to wait for the press conferences. But that's my current thoughts on transfers. So looking at my squad on the My Team tool on Fantasy Football Hub, it doesn't look great this week. So 91% team rating, not bad. But the game week rating is 84%. That's because I've got so many issues in my team. If I go to my AI transfers, I'm pretty sure it's going to recommend, Sarr to Semenyo, which is a move I'm strongly considering. Interestingly, if I didn't want to get Semenyo, let's just say I'm not happy with spending all my money, I can click the Don't Recommend Semenyo button and then get it to give me a new transfer. I've not checked this yet. Yes, it wants me to take a hit to get Munoz. So basically, get Semenyo for free, or if you don't want to make that move, it's recommending taking a hit. I am quite tempted to do this. Interestingly, instead of Paquetá or Reinders, Utara is coming up. I don't mind Utara at Brentford. I do think he could do really well. I'm just not quite convinced by the fixtures. But it does allow me to get Munoz, and interestingly, it wants me to sell Agbadou instead of Nico Williams. So that is food for thought. If you want to get your suggested transfers for your team, just click that link in the description below or scan the QR code on screen. There's 50% off at the moment. If I just go back to how the team looks right now, so let's just say I do the Sarr. Let's just say I do the Sarr to Semenyo move, right? And we can see what it looks like over the next couple of weeks. So in game week 5, if I wanted to bench boost, if I just optimize my team to get the correct bench, it would be Sanchez against Man United away, Dewsbury Hall against Liverpool away, then Esteve against Forest at home, and Pedro Porro against Brighton away. As long as Strand Larsen's fit, I think that looks okay. Like, the actual 11 is Dubravka Forest at home, Nico Williams, who I would keep for the bad fixture in 4, but to play in 5 would have Burnley away, Anderson Brentford at home, Agbadou Leeds at home, Salah and Wirtz against Everton at home, Semenyo Newcastle at home, Fernandes Chelsea at home, and frontline Watkins Sunderland away, Mateta West Ham away, and Strand Larsen Leeds at home. I don't think that bench is perfect, but I really want to get the bench boost out of the way before I wildcard, and I don't think I'm going to get a better week than that. So that's what I'm saying. If Strand Larsen's back next week, I don't need to force myself into a defender move because all my defence has a good fixture pretty much in game week 5. So I could maybe just do that Semenyo move. And that is what's being recommended by the AI transfers. So maybe I should just follow that. Anyway, if you enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button, check out Fantasy Football Hub using the links in the description below or scanning the QR code on screen. And I'll be back tomorrow for final thoughts, which is going to be a big one because there's lots of press conference news we need and I'm going to go through it all. So I'll catch you then.